You walk into a room and she looks up. Not the quick glance people give strangers. Something different. Her eyes stay just a moment longer than necessary. She doesn't look away when you notice. There's no nervousness in it, no performance. Just a quiet kind of attention that younger men often miss entirely because they're too busy trying to be seen. But you've been around long enough to recognize what's actually happening. She's reading you, and what she finds makes her linger. Most men spend their 20s and 30s convinced that youth is the only card worth playing. They chase attention with energy and urgency, mistaking volume for value. Then, somewhere past 50, something shifts. You stop performing, you stop explaining yourself. And that's precisely when certain women start responding to you in ways that have nothing to do with what you say or what you're trying to project. They respond to what you've become without effort. The signals they send aren't loud. They're not designed for the crowd. They're meant for you to notice if you're paying attention. If you appreciate content that explores the unspoken dynamics most people never see, go ahead and subscribe to Mature Instincts. This channel is about the hidden signals and quiet advantages that come with actual life experience. So, what are these signals and why do they show up, specifically with men who've lived long enough to understand what matters? The first thing you'll notice is how she positions herself in your space, not aggressively, not obviously. But if you watch, you'll see she finds reasons to be near you that don't require explanation. At a gathering, she gravitates to your side of the room. In a conversation, she angles her body toward you even when others are speaking. She doesn't announce it. She doesn't make a show of it. But her presence keeps circling back to your proximity. This isn't accidental. Women do this when they feel something they can't quite name yet. Safety, groundedness, a kind of calm that doesn't come from someone trying to impress her. It comes from someone who doesn't need to. Younger men often misread this entirely. They think they need to fill space with conversation or energy. But she's already decided something about you before you've said much at all. She's decided you're not working for her approval, and that makes her want to be close enough to figure out why. Then there's the way she asks you questions, not the polite surface questions people trade at parties. She asks about your choices, your past, what you've learned, how you see things now compared to before. These aren't interview questions, they're deeper. She's looking for evidence that you've actually lived and thought about it, that you've made mistakes and didn't crumble, that you've been shaped by time in ways that made you more solid, not more bitter. She doesn't ask these things of everyone. Only of men she senses have something underneath the surface, something earned. When a woman asks you about regret or what you do differently, she's not making small talk. She's testing for wisdom, for self-awareness, for the kind of honesty that only shows up in men who've stopped pretending to be perfect. If you answer with real reflection, without trying to sound impressive, you'll see her lean in. Not physically necessarily, but her attention sharpens. She's found what she was looking for. You'll also notice she touches differently. Not more, differently. A younger woman might touch a younger man playfully, testing reactions, seeing if he'll chase. But with you, her touch is quieter. A hand on your forearm when she's making a point. Her shoulder brushing yours when she laughs. Nothing rushed, nothing performed for an audience. These touches linger half a second longer than casual. They're not about getting attention. They're about staying connected to something she feels near you. Calm, presence, a kind of masculine energy that doesn't need to prove itself. She touches you the way people touch things they trust. This is one of the signals younger men completely overlook because they're conditioned to think touch is always about escalation or flirtation in some obvious way. But what she's doing is more instinctive than that. She's drawn to your steadiness the way people are drawn to warmth. It's not a tactic, it's a response. Here's another signal that reveals itself in the smallest moments. She remembers what you say. Not just the big stories, the small details. You mention something in passing about a trip you took or a book you read or a habit you have, and 2 weeks later she brings it up. She connects it to something else in conversation like it mattered enough to store. This isn't about having a good memory. It's about the fact that what you say carries weight with her. She's paying attention in a way that suggests you've already become someone whose words she values, whose perspective she respects. Most men don't realize how rare this is. People forget what you say all the time. It's not personal, it's just that most conversation is noise. But when a woman remembers the details of your life without you having to repeat yourself, She's telling you something. You've earned a place in her mental landscape. You're not just another person she met. You're someone she's studying because she wants to understand what makes you different. Then there's how she responds to your silence. This is one of the most telling signals, and it almost always goes unnoticed. Younger men panic in pauses. They fill gaps with words, jokes, anything to keep energy high. But you've learned that silence isn't empty. Sometimes it's the most honest part of a conversation. And when you let a moment sit without rushing to fill it, watch what she does. She doesn't get uncomfortable. She doesn't check her phone or look around for an exit. She stays present. She might smile slightly. She might just look at you with this expression that says she's comfortable existing in that quiet space with you. That's trust. That's her telling you she doesn't need you to entertain her. She's content just being near the kind of calm you carry. Women signal interest in hundreds of ways, but comfort in silence is one of the deepest. It means she's not performing either. She's let her guard down because you've created a space where she doesn't have to be anything other than herself. You'll also notice something in the way she talks about other men around you. Not complaining exactly, but she'll mention how exhausting it is when someone tries too hard, how draining it is to be around people who need constant validation, how tired she is of conversations that never go below the surface. She's not saying this to make you feel special. She's saying it because being around you has reminded her what she's been missing. You're not trying to be seen. You're not fishing for reassurance. You're just there, solid, present, and that contrast makes her aware of how rare that actually is. When she shares these observations with you, she's doing more than venting. She's showing you that she sees the difference, that she values what you bring without you having to announce it. And she's hoping you notice that she notices. Another signal shows up in how she responds to your boundaries. Mature men don't say yes to everything. They don't chase every opportunity to be agreeable. They know when to step back, when to say no calmly and without apology. Most people find this off-putting when they first encounter it. But a woman who's drawn to experience responds differently. When you set a boundary, politely but firmly, she doesn't pull away. She respects it. Sometimes she even seems more interested afterward because she's just seen evidence that you're not desperate for her approval, that you have standards, that you know your own value and you're not negotiating it to keep her around. This is the opposite of what younger men are usually taught. They think boundaries push people away. But women who are attracted to maturity see boundaries as proof of self-respect. And self-respect is magnetic in ways that neediness never will be. Finally, watch how she seeks your perspective when decisions come up, not just about big things, small things too. She asks what you think about a choice she's making, how you'd handle a situation, what your instinct tells you. She's not looking for you to solve her problems. She's looking to see how you think, how you weigh things, what your experience has taught you about navigating life. This is a signal of respect. She's treating you like someone whose judgment matters, whose perspective adds value. She's not doing this with everyone. Only with men she's identified as having something she wants to learn from or be influenced by. When a younger woman starts asking an older man for his take on things, especially things that matter to her, she's signaling that she sees him as more than just another person in the room. She sees him as someone with weight, someone whose presence makes her feel like she's in the company of an adult. And that feeling is rarer than most people realize. All of these signals point to the same underlying truth. She's not responding to what you're doing. She's responding to who you've become. The decades you've lived have shaped you in ways that can't be faked. You've learned when to speak and when to stay quiet, when to engage and when to step back. You've developed a kind of self-possession that comes only from surviving enough to stop taking everything personally. And women who've outgrown the noise of their 20s recognize that immediately. They don't need you to chase them. They don't need you to perform. They just need you to be exactly what you already are: present, grounded, unshaken. So here's what to take from all of this. These signals aren't tests you need to pass. They're responses you'll naturally receive when you've stopped trying to prove anything. When you've embraced the fact that your value isn't tied to youth or energy or the ability to keep up with trends, your value is in your presence, in your calm, in the fact that life has shaped you into someone solid. And the women who notice that aren't playing games. They're simply drawn to something real in a world full of performance. The advantage you have at 50 and beyond isn't about pretending to be younger. It's about fully inhabiting the man you've become. That's what she's noticing. That's what these signals are telling you. She sees it even if you're still learning to trust it yourself. Think about your own experience. Have you noticed moments where someone responded to your presence in ways that had nothing to do with what you said or did, where the signal was quiet but unmistakable? Drop a comment and share what you've observed. The hidden dynamics are always more interesting than the obvious ones. If this resonated with you, go ahead and like this video, leave a comment, and subscribe to Mature Instincts for more insights into the signals and dynamics most people never see. Thanks for watching.